Right. Good morning or good day, wherever you are. Today, I would like to be talking about classroom discourse analysis and some theories that are revolving around English language teaching. So, for today, I would like to focus on translanguaging, the art of accepting culture, accepting background, and social learning theory, where said that an important part or aspect of learning is the social environment the student is in, how they mimic, how teachers scaffold, all that good stuff. Um, I will be doing this in two different contexts. Um, some personal learning from myself. I'm Indonesian, and in a classroom in India. So, yeah, let's dive a bit into it. Before we start, this QR code here will lead you to my full essay for the class. It's where I put all my resources, all my sources, all the works I've cited, the transcript. So feel free to check it out. If I have any mistakes, feel free to notify me and put it in the comments below. Um, yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the English language, how globalization has created this monstrosity of a language into a lingua franca. It's massive now, and everyone's starting to learn it. Um, Everyone just has a need for it, whether to do global business, international trades. Um, English has become something that everyone needs, and it's become something that everyone owns. As a lingua franca, it doesn't just belong to those who are native speakers of English, but now everyone has their own unique take on the language, um, based on, well, their background language, their culture, and all that. So, as teachers, what do we need to do? What can we do to help our students traverse these, I wouldn't say difficult, but these times? So, as teachers, something that I found is that we need to help them. Students, they shouldn't learn language for the linguistics part of it. We need students to also learn the language and cultures around it. Also integrating their own culture with it. So yeah, huh, by letting the students use their culture to speak the language, we can find that, wow, the students they can think of many ways to utilize this foreign language properly, even with their own culture in the mix. So let's take a look at one of these cultures, the culture of India, specifically their language. They have 121 officially recognized languages in India. There's Hindi and English, they're official government languages. And then there's more regional languages, Tamil, Telugu, um, all that good stuff. Um, and well, they speak English in a different manner. People often call it Indian English. There are several grammar differences between native English and Indian English. The accent is clear, something that is definitive, I would say. You can recognize an Indian English accent wherever you are, if you've heard of it often enough. Um, so it begs the question, right? Is that okay? Is that like should we teach our students to be more native like? That's I don't think so. Or do we have to insist that English language learning has to be, grammatically correct, or you should be as native as we can? Let's see. Um, Here we have the concept that I enjoy a lot. It's translanguaging. Sorry, to not go for nativeness. We shouldn't push our students to speak English like the natives. Um, Maybe you would like them to speak in an American accent, a British accent, an American accent, said that Australian accent. Students, they they shouldn't be pushed that way. Instead, they need to accept their own cultural background while acknowledging the background of others. So this is what I hope would come up in future schools. Translanguaging efforts. So it's student-led learning where they're encouraged to develop their language proficiency in any way. So instead of, for example, immediately giving out feedback left and right about how they speak, or not giving them an opportunity to produce language at all, teachers, they should just, chill, relax, give them the opportunity to produce language, even though it's wrong, even though it might not be right. That can be corrected sooner or later, but what's important now is to develop this desire to learn, develop this desire that students, oh, they can actually have confidence in learning a language, even if they can't necessarily speak English that well yet. They can, translanguaging strategies or philosophy mentions that the use of L1 in the classroom is fine for now. Later, no, no, no. I'm not going to threaten anyone. Um, Translanguaging, in my eyes, have some, I would say, connections to social learning theory, how it wants students to participate socially, um, even if it's with just the teachers. They interact with the teachers, they speak what they want to speak. But I think something that I want to highlight is the importance of teachers. People often think that student-led sessions means that, what does the teacher do? Does the teacher just collect blind paychecks after blind paychecks? I don't think so. This theory bounds the importance of having a teacher or a facilitator in the classroom. It means that the teachers are there to maintain the lesson objectives, to become a role model for the students. That's something that is important. You can't just, have the students go wild, do whatever you want. They'll end up learning nothing. We as teachers have this responsibility to maintain the objective, to help these students achieve self-regulation, not just to learn when we are around, but also to learn while we're not there. um, Feedback, as important as it is not going to be like as important. um, I'd say that it's because at the end of the day, um, they need us. Just students need the language, right? So instead of like making it perfect first, we allow them to produce as much as possible. um, Social learning theory says that the student's social environment is this vital aspect of their learning. So our teachers, as teachers, it's not only our words but also our action, our behaviors, our gestures, our face. The students absorb all of this, and they can mimic them. So make sure that as teachers we present ourselves in a way that is positive and resounding. We can be assertive at times when we need to be, and make sure that our words match that assertiveness. So yeah, our role is not to just ensure that they properly learn the linguistic aspects of English, but also every part of it, the culture, the background, their own culture. We fuse it all together into this wonderful social environment for them to learn. So how would I see this? How can I visualize these aspects, translanguaging and SLT, in action? Well, that requires some classroom discourse analysis. So um, it believes that there are these unique patterns within the classroom when teachers and students interact, or when students and students interact, but I'm not focusing on that today. So within those moves are acts. Within sorry In a lesson there can be transactions, and not paying. It's transactions. communication between teachers and students um, about the lesson. And then within those transactions are moves where the teacher would um, initiate and the student would reply, or the teacher would just keep on initiating if they're boring and just never letting the students to say anything, responding anything. Or they can follow up too. They can have they after the student's response, they can react with, oh yeah, that's correct, or give feedback. Um, and within those moves are acts. So the teachers can elicit a question. They can, what else can they do? They can direct a student. They can give a statement. um, the student can react. The student can reply. The teacher can evaluate the responses. Teachers, they can also react to the responses. Let's be real. Okay, so yeah, these transactions, they're bounded with markers. So you'll realize that when we analyze classroom discourse, wow, this particular transaction is about this, and then we move on, and then we move on. It's like how task-based learning, um, task-based language teaching has several, pre-task, task, post-task. Those can be marked specifically when the teacher wants to move on. So yeah, it is designed to learn about how teachers and students interact in the classroom. So let's see one of those classes.
Good afternoon, children.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
So, how are you all today?
Fine.
Very good. We are going to have a conversation class today. That means we are going to interact with each other and we are going to speak in English. Now, I have got something for you. Here. What is this? Mobile. Very good. Can anybody of you tell me the uses of mobile? Very good. So all of you are well aware of the uses of mobile. Yes, please.
Yes. Mobile use calculator, message, phone, missed call.
Okay, very good. Clap for him. You please go back. Sit. Anybody else who can tell me the uses of mobile? Yes, please come. Tell it to the class. Come near.
Mobile use for message, calculator, missed calls, calling.
So, very good. Clap everybody for him. Yes. So, you all are quite well aware. Good afternoon, children.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
So, how are you all?
All right. So what you see there was a classroom in India where they're talking about mobile phone use, or well, what the teacher wants to begin with is for the students to speak in English, learning communication. So yeah, um, here the teacher opened the transaction by telling the class on what they're going to do for the day. We're going to communicate in English, right? And then she started by asking the students to be active language users. She asked them to speak it out, speak out whatever you have in your mind. She asks the class, "What is this?" And the students answer that it's a mobile. Notice that in India, it's not like it's a smartphone or it's a phone. No, India uses the word mobile, and it's not being corrected; it's being accepted. The teacher, also a fellow Indian, understands the cultural background amongst the students, and in Indian English, that would be the proper way to say it. Might not be in other forms of English, but that is what it is there. That is a base of translanguaging, accepting culture. So here you can see that the two students, when prompted to speak out whatever they have, they didn't exactly speak perfectly, didn't they? Um, they said was mobile phone use, and then calling, calculator, missed calls. Um, Technically, that's imperfect English. However, did the teacher like did the teacher say, "Oh yeah, you're wrong. That's not how you say it. Go back to your seat. you've disappointed me now, right? They have they What she did was that she asked the class to clap for them, making sure that they feel confident. They keep on moving forward, pushing to learn English instead of, getting dropped down, kicked down, just straight up feel sad about their English lessons. That's important, right? The teacher sets how she wants the class to behave and how the student's social environment should be. Something else in SLT that's pretty interesting in the in the footage was that the second student didn't exactly speak with his own words, didn't he? He he used his well, I would say his friend's answer to answer in the classroom. He We can see it in the next slide, but it's interesting how it happened that way. So this is a basic method of analyzing classroom discourse. So we can see here that I started a bit in the middle of the video. So the teacher already asked the class what mobile use is, and the teacher selected yes, please. Teacher nominates one of the students, and then students comes to the front, and then talks about it. Mobile use, calculator, message, phone, missed call, the reply, and the teacher followed it up with an evaluation of saying that's very good, and also directing the class to clap for him. So yeah, can see how the teacher shapes the environment to be as supportive as possible to the students, and also teaching other students to be supportive of all students who are confident enough to move forward. This gives this can give some interesting results. Some students, they want that attention, they want that, um, and they try to mimic their classmates, um, to try get that attention. Um, which leads me to wonder why student B would basically copy student A, just word for word, and then adding calling at the end. Here, the teacher selects another student to come to the front. Then, as he came to the front, he said the same thing, right? Mobile use for message, calculator, missed calls, calling. There's an interesting cut in the video, if you can see just now. Um, I don't know what that means, but the teacher also said, "Very good," and encourages everyone to clap for it. So you can see just how supportive the classroom is and how supportive it really should be. Um, Translanguaging efforts suggest that we shouldn't limit the students to just not doing anything in the classroom or having to be perfect before coming in and speaking their words. But imperfection breeds learning, and learning breeds perfection. So yeah, what about in Indonesia? What have I experienced so far? Well, I don't have a footage for you all. It would be too long. It's been 19 minutes already since the start of this video. I am A lot of you would probably log off already at this point. But for my SEP reflections, so I have this school experience program, which is held every semester for me. In this fifth semester, I I went to SMP Sporbi 1. So I find myself in a place that has relatively good English speakers. All my students were capable of speaking and understanding English, which meant that I had no need to code switch, which, well, translanguaging, I'm allowed to code switch technically, but I didn't. I have more fun when I don't code switch. One of the students did ask me, actually, like, can you speak Indonesian? I can, don't worry. Um, However, there were times when I did have to use some scaffolding techniques through elicitation. So, what I want for the students is so that they can think about their think about their language production instead of having to have me answer for them. So, I want, as I'm making sure of that, I keep asking them. Like, if they ask me something, then I would ask them back. It's I'm just trying to help them, to guide them towards the answer that they need to finish the objective that I want them to finish. So in this case, I asked them to write about themselves, um, and I made sure that in my rubric I gave more emphasis to student creativity over their grammar competency. I just want to let them explore, even if I know that my lesson was about grammar, because Indonesia is still a very grammar heavy country when it comes to English language learning. But hey, at the end of the day, I want them to experience something different, be creative with themselves, care less about the grammar, care more about language production, no matter what. And I'd say that it's very interesting when students get that freedom, when I set that social environment for them to be free. They come up with so many unique takes on life, on themselves. And that's, oh God, sorry. And that's, I think, the beauty of teaching English, just having to see the students work um, so many different things and being individuals, being themselves. That's what I love most about teaching English. So, yeah, that's basically what I did for translanguaging and SLT. Set the social environment, not perfectly, but I mean, I did it as best as I could to accommodate students to speak and write their thoughts. So, yeah, well, to conclude, since language is an interaction medium, as teachers of ELT, please use it to interact in the classroom. Do not think of it as a linguistics class. That would be tiring for middle schoolers and high schoolers. They're not college students, they're not adults. They're trying to learn a language for the sake of using it in the future. As so, make sure that they learn to use it. Don't take away the students' chances of learning to speak and write, do everything they can with the language, really. Write poems, write stories, make them feel like they own the language. English is a lingua franca now, so it's not just for the Americans, not for the Brits, not for the Australian or any other native English speakers. It's for all of us. So make sure that they feel comfortable and make them own the language too. Also, remember, as the teacher, you still need to ensure that they follow the best sources. Um, we cannot stay passive. We let the students speak, but also maintain our power in the classroom. Maintain that we are still, well, in some cases, the best source. People living in places without access to the internet, without access to proper materials, who do they have left? Us, right? So make sure that when we teach English wherever we are, we become the best role models for them. It doesn't matter if they're better than us at speaking English, even. Who knows? You might be stuck in an international school one day, having to teach English without and knowing that your English speaking skills is like kind of worse than them. But it's okay. As long as we prove to ourselves that we are the best role models, we make sure that our learning objectives is rock solid and we can move forward with it. Why not? We need to push the students towards greater levels, greater boundaries. So please make sure that they get to see the source, or even, if necessary, mimic the source the way that they should. So that's all for me today. Thank you very much for listening. Again, as I've mentioned before, all of the resources, all of the citations, all of the transcripts are in this QR code. So if you want to scan it, you want to debate with me, please don't. Um, feel free, really. Um, have fun reading my craziness. I hope you understand something, and just straight up get something from for today. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye.